Hey guys, it's me, PCPatientZero. We're just pumping some iron because it's summer right now and I like to wear sleeveless shirts and show off my muscles. Oh yeah. But we should probably talk about theater, specifically diction and projection. Okay, so I know what you're thinking. Diction and projection? Those are just words that my director shouts at me all the time. Wrong. Diction is how clearly you speak, how well you are understood on stage. Projection is how loudly you speak. Projection, however, should not be confused with yelling. You never want to yell unless your character is supposed to yell, but even then you control it. First, we're going to talk about diction. Everybody has a little trouble with diction in real life. Nobody speaks with perfect crystal clarity in their words. And that's okay for real life. But when you're on the stage, the purpose is to be heard, right? So you have to enunciate your words clearly. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've started moving my mouth more when I speak. As an actor, you're going to have to do that on stage. This is so that you can get out all of your words very clearly and so the audience can lip read you a little bit, even if they're maybe kind of far away or something like that, because they're going to have to see your lips really moving. Diction also involves pronouncing all of your words correctly. Now, I know in real life, and I do it when I'm making these videos, we don't always speak all of the words the way that they're supposed to be. And again, in real life, who really cares all that much except for grammar Nazis who are in real life following you around instead of on the internet? But on stage, it matters. I'm from Wisconsin. I don't know if you noticed by my Wisconsin nasally accent that I have, but every different region has a little bit of a accent to overcome. I'm just going to tell you some of the things that we have trouble with here in Wisconsin. One thing that our director is always harping on us about is ta can get for sure, which is how we say to can get for sure. So make sure when you're talking on stage, see, I just did it, I said sure. Make sure when you are talking on stage that you pronounce those words correctly. To can get for sure, not ta can get for sure. Another one, which is a pet peeve of mine, is the pronunciation of words that end in ing. Especially here in Wisconsin. Let's say the word playing. A lot of times we say it plain. Plain, as in the thing that flies. One thing that I like to remember is that there is a G on the end of the word. So if you pronounce it a little bit, it'll help you. Playing. Now that's a little bit of an overpronunciation, but if you can get to where you pronounce that G, then you're going to be better at pronouncing your ing sound for all of those people who are out there listening, wondering what you're talking about when they think you were talking about having a good time in a playground, and instead you seem to be chartering a jet flight. In my next video, I'm going to show you guys how to do vocal warm-ups, which will help a lot with your diction. They're going to look pretty silly, but actors are supposed to look silly, right? They're especially good if you can do them with a bunch of friends, so you all look silly together. Now we're going to talk about projection. Notice how I was standing all the way over there and you could still hear me? It's not just because this room echoes. I know how to project really well. That's one of the things that I'm always good at the theater. Projection has a lot to do with your diaphragm. Want to know where your diaphragm is roughly located? Hang on. Your diaphragm is kind of in this area, and you want to speak from this area. Whenever you speak, most of the time, you kind of just speak from up here in your lungs. But when you're on stage, you want to speak from down here. This is where your power should come from, and your words are going to be a lot more powerful if you do that. Sorry, adjusting my camera. One of the ways you can practice using your diaphragm is to put your hands, or better yet, have a friend put their hands on your waist and push their hands out with your breath. That means you're using your breath from your diaphragm, not from up here. You want it all to come from your diaphragm and flow smoothly through and out your mouth. It shouldn't hit any barriers on the way or you'll rip up your throat when you're talking. Another great way to practice using your diaphragm is to lay on the floor and say something like, ha! And when you say it, you should see that area that I pointed out rise. If you don't, you're not using your diaphragm. Another thing that my theater likes to practice is to have people stand on the other end of the room from you. Let's put them in the back of the audience. Then we actors up on stage take turns saying, hey. We say hey from our diaphragm. We don't yell it. Yelling is not the same as speaking on stage. We speak it from our diaphragm. The director, who's usually the one standing in the back, will tell us if we've done it, if we've achieved it, and then it moves on to the next person. So I encourage you and your theater group to play hey, and have somebody who really knows what they're listening for stand in the back and make sure you're projecting, not yelling. The only time you want to yell on stage is if your character's supposed to yell, and even then, you want to yell from the diaphragm. If it's hurting your throat, you're doing it wrong. Another thing that you'll be able to do when you learn to use your diaphragm is to talk loudly and clearly no matter what you're doing. Actors, like myself, can run around the stage for a while, be all winded, and still project clearly because you're breathing in the air with your lungs, whatever, I'm all winded. But your diaphragm is separate, and that can still help you power your words out even though you're winded. So one way to test to make sure you're using your diaphragm is to run around a bit and then still see if you can talk as clearly and as loudly as you did before. Remember, that area that I showed you, right in the abdomen, that's where your diaphragm lives. That's where you want your voice to come from. Hey, did you get tickets to the gun show? Has anyone seen my beach ball? Is it over there? Is it over there?